Argentina's inflation rate hit 138% last year.
Argentina is due to make a debt payment.
It is the third largest economy in Latin America with one of the highest inflation rates in the world.
I think this system is rigged.
As business owners fend off looters with firearms while frustrations mount over astronomical inflation rates growing to more than 110%.
I don't know how to fix Argentina.
To put that in perspective, if you bought a loaf of bread last year for 100 pesos, today that would cost you 238 pesos. So imagine every month your money buys less and less. I went to Buenos Aires and people would tell me that they get paid every month, go out and buy their groceries immediately because, well, if you wait, the price could go up. Then whatever's left, they would exchange it to US dollars and basically just put that money under their mattress because it would be pretty dumb to hold on to a currency inflating 50 or 100% or 138% every year. Argentina's economy is in free fall. Inflation is so out of control that the country is now seriously considering a radical move, replacing its own currency with the US dollar. This problem, by the way, is not new for Argentina. See, since the late 20th century, the country has struggled with significant inflation.
Argentina, the South American country famous for its steak, red wine, Maradona.
A country that in 1908 was the 7th richest country in the world.
Its economy seems trapped in a cycle of hyperinflation, recession, and debt. So will Argentina finally find economic stability through dollarization? Or is this just another chapter in a long history of economic experiments? Because what happens here in Argentina could set the stage for how other countries handle an inflation crisis in the future. To understand why Argentina might ditch the peso, we need to rewind. See, Argentina wasn't always an economic cautionary tale. In the early 20th century, it was one of the wealthiest countries in the world, often compared to the US, but things changed fast.
This morning, but the looting and rioting continues.
The dramatic images reminiscent of unrest in 1989, when inflation increased by over 100% in less than a year.
A week of rioting and looting triggered by economic problems.
And the aftershock is now in full swing.
The country has faced chronic economic instability since then. And here's why. Argentina's government spends more than it earns, and it often resorts to printing money to fill that gap. And when you print money without the economic growth to back it up, well, welcome inflation. It's kind of like pouring water into a pot that already has enough. It eventually will overflow. Now let's talk numbers. In 2022, the Argentinian peso lost 50% of its value against the US dollar. The next year, things got worse. And now a single US dollar is worth nearly 1,000 pesos on the black market. People have lost faith in their currency. This is where the US dollar comes in.
Many signs to believe that the US dollar, which, has had a very, very nice run, is rising for, reasons that are very appealing compared to a lot of other countries around the world.
See, in Argentina, it's common for people to hold dollars as a hedge against their own inflation. They use dollars to buy cars, houses, and even pay for school tuition. It's already kind of like a second unofficial currency, but now there's a growing movement to make it official. Completely replace the peso with the US dollar. So why adopt the US dollar? It's not just about fighting inflation, it's about trust. See, people don't trust the peso, but the US dollar, well, it's one of the most stable currencies in the world. It's used in 88% of global trade transactions. And countries like Ecuador and El Salvador are already dollarized. And while it's not a perfect solution, it has helped stabilize their economies. So officially adopting the dollar could bring that much needed stability and help stop inflation dead in its tracks.
Corto plazo, vamos a tener sufrimiento, pero después vamos a salir.
Okay, here's the deal. Holding the US dollars in Argentina isn't illegal, but it's a headache. The government has strict currency controls, meaning you can only buy a limited amount of dollars at the official exchange rate every month. And usually that's not enough to shield yourself from inflation. So many people here will turn to what's called the black market.
Black market.
Black market. Here, dollars are pricier, but they're more accessible. And these controls are meant to ultimately stop Argentina's foreign reserves from bleeding out, but they also push ordinary folks into tricky situations just to protect their savings. Okay, but what exactly is dollarization? Well, it's a dramatic economic shift. Essentially, a country gives up its own currency and adopts the US dollar as its official money. So I mentioned earlier, Ecuador did this in 2000 and El Salvador followed in 2001. Now, for Argentina, this move could stabilize prices, stop inflation, and just restore confidence in the economy. It's like hitting the reset button. Once you adopt the dollar, your government can't just print more money when it's in trouble like it's been doing. So that's good for inflation control, but it also comes with serious trade-offs. This is Javier Milei.
Hola a todos. A very special congratulations to Javier Milei. Viva la libertad, carajo!
Long live freedom, long live freedom, damn it!
He's Argentina's newly elected president, and he's not your typical politician. Picture a libertarian economist with wild hair who promises to blow up the central bank, literally. He believes that dollarization is the only way to end Argentina's inflation nightmare.
I'm talking about currency competition and eliminating the central bank.
His plan? Ditch the peso entirely and fully adopt the US dollar. And his argument here is that this will not only curb inflation, but also attract foreign investment because it will create a more stable economic environment.
And as demand for money increases, since people can use dollars, they don't need to go and sell the dollars and make the peso appreciate, but they can do transactions in dollars.
Why would you invest in a country where you know the value of your investment is going down so rapidly? And in a country where trust in the government is at an all-time low, his messaging is resonating with people.
It's been a year since Javier Milei became Argentina's president, and Mara Flores says she couldn't be prouder of what he has achieved.
His plan to dollarize is controversial for sure, but he argues that it's the only way to end the cycle of inflation once and for all.
This is working.
But what are the actual benefits of dollarization? Well, if Argentina adopts the US dollar, inflation could actually drop overnight. That's what happened in Ecuador.
We have two options: dollarize or ban the movement of capitals. The American Development Bank said, we have a person that believes that dollarization is right for Ecuador.
Before dollarizing in 2000, Ecuador faced a 96% inflation rate. After the switch, inflation fell below 10% within 2 years. So for ordinary Argentinians, this could mean stable prices and an end to the constant worry about their money losing value. Businesses could plan for the future without fearing hyperinflation, and foreign investors might finally see Argentina as a safe place to put some money. But hold up. Dollarization is not a guaranteed fix. First, Argentina would lose control of its monetary policy, and if the country faces a financial crisis, again, it can't just print more money. It doesn't have that power. Second, adopting the dollar could actually make Argentine exports more expensive, because without the ability to devalue its currency, products like beef and soybeans, which are big moneymakers in Argentina, could lose their competitive edge in global markets. And then there's the overall sovereignty issue. See, some critics argue that dollarization makes Argentina too dependent on the US Federal Reserve, which sets interest rates based on what's best for, well, the US, not Argentina. In Ecuador, dollarization helped stabilize the economy and brought down inflation, but it wasn't a cure-all. The country still struggles with poverty and income inequality. And El Salvador's experience is similar. While dollarization brought stability, it hasn't solved deeper structural problems like low growth and limited social spending. So for Argentina, the stakes are even higher because its economy is larger and more complex, and its political system is more volatile. So what would dollarization mean for the US? Well, if Argentina adopts the dollar, it could strengthen the dollar's role as the world's reserve currency, which, remember, it's already quite strong. But there's another side to this. The US could gain more geopolitical influence in Latin America, but it also increases global dependency on the dollar. This raises questions. How many more countries can rely on the US dollar before it becomes somewhat of a burden for the Federal Reserve?
Fair to say you simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
The debate over dollarization is now dividing Argentina. See, some see it as the only way out of its perpetual crisis, but others believe it's a dangerous gamble that could strip the country of its economic sovereignty. But what's clear is that something has to change. The peso has lost its credibility, and without drastic action, Argentina's economic crisis could continue to spiral even further than it already is.
There is no opportunity. I'm speaking like a politician. No, this country is.
So will Argentina take the plunge and adopt the US dollar, or will it find another way to stabilize its economy? Is there another way? I mean, other than stop printing so much money? One thing's for sure, the world is watching closely because what happens in Argentina could set a precedent for other nations battling an inflation crisis. Let me know in the comments, what do you think needs to be done? And if you enjoyed this video, follow my channel for more videos like this about tech and economics.